So ACC Kickoff was a hit. We have all of our top takeaways. More importantly, we had the best interviews. Who gave us something to look forward to? Who didn't leave us with much? And sadly, we feel like it still might be their time to go. We'll talk about all of that here on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to our pod. But more importantly than that, you give us time to talk you through some of the good things that we've got going on here. And more than that, we always love when you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Kenton, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It was a great 3 days out there in Charlotte, going over the different things about these teams and learning more about them and kind of digging into their philosophies, hearing their coaches and hearing their star players talk. So I'm ready to get into it.
You were kind of a hit, I heard. Getting top interviews, best reporter out there. I'm not going to lie. I heard some pretty positive things.
Well, I don't think it's a competition. You know what I mean? There's no scoreboard in journalism, but I did try to, do a little bit of research and ask questions that were pertinent to who the coaches are, who the players are, and kind of getting the answers that could be useful for here. And for our YouTube shorts, if you haven't seen them, make sure that you go to the page if you're not already watching this on YouTube and check out some of those shorts, because I guarantee you we have at least one quote from one player or head coach from your team.
1,000%. I mean, you're being very modest. It's giving ACC Kickoff quotes. I'm just going to say there. It's giving like you've been here long enough. You're sort of giving us those takes. But I was really kind of slightly disappointed that you didn't do any cilantro takes.
There were plenty, actually. There were plenty of cilantro questions. I just would not ask them in a way that's going to get me banned for life. So, I mean,
My questions would have got me banned for life?
Oh, the way that you said some of them, I mean, maybe not banned, but the person who was picking the people with their hands up wouldn't have picked you anymore, probably.
All right, so let's kick things off with our ACC recap, a kickoff recap. Jim Phillips, of course, took the stage first. We'll talk about our best interviews throughout the week. But for Jim Phillips, we were talking about you being an interviewee. The lady wasn't feeling you too much. I heard you didn't get to ask any questions in that regard. Can you please enlighten the folks on just what was the top takeaways from Phillips and his conversation?
Well, I mean, first thing first, the Northwestern situation, we all knew what the response there was going to be. This is an ongoing investigation that I cannot actively speak on, and yada, 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 so on and so forth. He's a smart guy. He's going to listen to his counsel and not do that. But from that, I actually did get a question off.
Okay. Let's go.
Phillips. And what I asked was, because a lot of people love talking about Notre Dame and talk about their half member, or their members in all the sports that don't pay out the big bucks from Notre Dame and all that. So I asked Commissioner Phillips about, had there been any conversations with Notre Dame and all that? And he said, definitively, this is the first time I've heard anything very definitive on this. He said, we have had conversations with Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
However, at this time, they enjoy their independence. For the foreseeable future, they'll be enjoying their independence. And if they want to join in terms of football, we will welcome them with open arms. But I don't see that happening in the foreseeable future.
Basically, what he's trying to tell y'all is stop asking me about Notre Dame, because them funky-ass football players ain't coming.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'll tell you this much.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever coaches, commissioners are not given, players are a little different. Generally, you can get a player to give you straight up and down what it is, what it ain't, what it could be, and what it can't. But when a commissioner or a coach is telling you something definitive like that, they know. They mean it.
Happening.
They mean it. If you ask a coach, who's your QB1, and he gives you an answer that's that definitive, that's the guy. That's the guy. So
yeah. Well, I mean, for all those who ever wondered, I don't think anybody is shocked or surprised by that question or the answer. I think it's time we all move on from Notre Dame and we consider them the stepchild who comes to play us every now and again because of the, different contracts they have with the various teams around the ACC. But other than that, I'm good on Notre Dame. See you during basketball.
I wouldn't say that they're the stepchild. They're treating ACC like we're the stepchild. They're the
Oh,
hottest person
100%.
at the dance, and they know that everybody's begging and groveling, and they're just like, nobody's good enough for me. And that's what's happening right
But we will still circle Notre Dame and Wake Forest on the calendar. Can't wait to talk to Sam Hartman and all the things. So that certainly is something to take away. Now, when we get into best worst interviews of ACC Kickoff, again, Kenton had plenty of shorts. So if you have not yet, a playlist is coming, but you can go to YouTube Shorts for Locked On ACC, and there is a plethora of interviews each and every day from every single school. So we really applaud Kenton for being down there and being in the nitty gritty of that. But let's go with the best interviews, right? Who was somebody that you said, you know what? All right, I'm ready to run through the wall. Not because they were the best interview in terms of just like speaking and all the things, but who really had you convinced out here?
Brent Key is a guy that, I mean, when he got to talking this talk, I almost had to call compliance. Like, do I have any more eligibility left? Do I have? Let
Do
me
I have
tell
a
you.
COVID year? Okay.
Let
Okay.
me tell you now.
Head coach at Georgia Tech.
Let me tell you. Yes, the Yellow Jackets head coach Brent Key, he spoke in a way that was so intentional, and so I'm going to get straight to it. The question that I asked was, this team had done multiple things that are historic given the context, in that they were 1-10 in their last 11 games against ranked teams before he took over midseason, and they finished 2-1 in their remaining 3 games against ranked teams, which, by the way, their only loss came to future national champions Georgia by a smaller amount than they actually beat TCU by in the national championship. And beyond that, they went 4-4 in the last 4 games, which Georgia Tech had not won 4 games in a season since Paul Johnson was there. And his answer was that he was very proud of the guys, but nobody up there thinks 4-4 is good enough. When I tell you I about lost it, let me tell you something. I was wearing my Hawaiian shirt for my main man, Brent Freelander. He's a friend of the pod. We love you, Brent. I was wearing my Hawaiian shirt. I almost took it off and started waving it around my head because he then went into the expectations around the program, the standard around the program, and it just got me fired up. He sounded like a coach who has that oomph that makes you want to play for him. But not only did he have that, he has the results to show for it. Because there are other coaches who, if they'll sell you the dream. If you don't know the results, they'll sell you the dream. But Key's got some results to show, hey, he's doing something special in the 404.
I really agree. I think it's very much well said about how we have been hyping up Georgia Tech and them being the ones to look out for this season. I don't know that they'll be leaps and bounds greater than what they were last year, but certainly be turning heads more than what people are expecting. And, again, I'm not gonna hold you. I believed a lot of that from Jeff Collins. Maybe I just don't know. Maybe I'm a sucker. I believe anything. But Jeff Collins also had me believe in some things. So I'm not saying temporary expectations. All I'm saying is we are really hype on Georgia Tech coaches.
I don't know where you got that from with college. You're on your own. I don't know where that we are hype about Georgia Tech coaches.
I'm saying you are hype about Key. I'm hype about Jeff. So
yeah, but my guys won 4 games in the season.
Oh my
so
my guy still has a job. Okay.
We are not the same.
Okay.
We are not the same.
Fair,
okay.
Fair.
All right. Fair. But with that being said, I really and truly do think that they're building something special down there, and it's built on accountability, and it's built on the expectation that good things are going to happen. It's built on the expectation that they have to make good things happen rather than just a bad thing happening, which, he said something about losing and winning both being contagious in your locker room, and that feeling of winning is something that he wants to permeate. And I'm just like, I'm sold.
It don't take much for Ken, but he's sold.
It does take a lot. I
No,
don't
it
know who
doesn't.
told you that. It
It
takes a
doesn't.
lot. Okay.
It
All right.
doesn't take to me, for you, it takes, like, don't BS you. Like, Kenton can read through BS very well, especially when it comes to this football thing. So the fact that you feel like, all right, he very short and sweet, but to the point, I think that's why Key resonates with you.
Not only that, he had personality up there. Of all the folks, he had the most personality. Let me tell you, he got me going early. I'm glad that I'm dark skinned. I would have been turning all types of red because there were people asking about expectations back to back, and he said, "Oh my God, here we go again with the expectations." So I'm thinking I'm gonna come in to be real sneaky with my question. I'll be sly. Hey, let's not talk about expectations. Let's talk about the past. And he said, "Oh wow, the past. The only thing I hate more than expectations." And I'm sitting up here like, oh boy. But he laughed, and the players started laughing. Everybody in the room was laughing. I'm like, oh, thank God we're good here. So
Not you sweating through the Hawaiian.
absolutely.
For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for green check to know that the part will fit, or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items. Exclusions do apply. Rocking and rolling, talking with Kenton Gibbs here through ACC Kickoff, where he was star of the show, as well as some of our friends that participate in 2023 ACC football. Now, there are some good interviews. Coach Key was one of them. Was there any others from a player standpoint that you were like, all right, this man knows his stuff, or he really is ready for the season and we look forward to seeing him play?
I mean, a lot of the players did a great job. A lot of players, they either naturally have it or that media training that they've been doing is taking. I really couldn't point out. It's tough for me to point out one individual because I mean, there were a few that just, of course, the quarterbacks, you could tell that most of them were used to having cameras in their face all the time, and the answers they gave were very succinct, very to the point, and even some who completely skirted around answers, they pushed the narrative that they wanted to push while answering. So it's tough to say which individual player was the best, but I will say that the defensive linemen did a great job as well. Those are the guys that you don't normally look at. And yeah, I'm being biased. Don't care. Yeah, I mean, if you want to turn us off, turn us off. But there were multiple guys, right? You look at Ashton Gelati of Louisville. He was a great interview up there and all that good stuff. You look at Chico Bennett from Virginia. He was one that, he kind of saved the day for Virginia because that was tough. It was a little rough to get through that. You look at Donovan from Boston College, the league leader in sacks last year. He was another great one that, he went into depth. He went in depth in terms of how he does what he does and how his body's changed and all that. And Dwayne Carter, he had a great time up there. He was a natural in front of the camera.
Ain't never seen a Mike King like that.
Yeah. So all in all, it was a great batch of players. But shout out to my big guys in the trenches and even some of the small guys in the trenches who, they did a great job of I asked them questions that were very specific in terms of X's and O's, and they did a great job handling those. And so I give a shout out to the defensive linemen because I've seen in the past where, some folks who are not as used to being in front of the camera gave answers that were just like, you got to give me something to work with, big fella. That's not a full quote. Work with me. So.
Yeah, it's crazy you didn't mention your favorite linemen or your defensive guys, those of Clemson. Did they give you any zhuzh or was it just the regular old stuff?
Tyler Davis was a little tough. A little tough. But here's the thing.
He's just dialed in, ready for game day. Yeah.
And you know what? This is what I will say about the players. And this is why, at the end of the day, Clemson only had one defender, and that was Tyler Davis. They had Will Putnam and Cade Klubnik as the other players representing them. But one guy that I, looking back at, I didn't mention in that group of defensive linemen who was phenomenal in front of Mike, Jared Verse. I mean, the cameras love him. The cameras love him. I mean, he looks the part of an NFL defensive lineman. I mean, just built, he has the personality, he has the charisma. I remember asking him, was there ever a moment where you realized I can do something special? I'm good at this, And mind you, Jared Verse, his story took him from highly under-recruited at Albany to then go on to Florida State after a good year at Albany. I asked him, when did you know that you had something special here? He said at 12 years old.
Okay.
My brother, that is the type of unshakable, unwavering faith in oneself that, it breeds good things. But again, he was another one that when he got in front of in the microphone there, he did his thing. And even with Tyler Davis of Clemson, he didn't do a bad
You
job.
Ain't got to clean it up. Leave the boy alone.
In comparison to the other defensive linemen because they did so well. I was genuinely shocked by how well the defensive linemen handled themselves in front of the microphone. I mean, genuinely impressed for a lot of them. So, again, there are other years, and I have seen other guys who have gone on to the NFL who are having great careers. One who plays in Charlotte right now, who, when he was interviewed, it was rough. It was a little rough, it was a tough time. But these big fellas, again, they handled themselves phenomenally. Great to see that either they naturally have it or the media training state. I don't know. I don't care. They did a great job, and that's all that matters to me.
1,000%. Well, okay, with the best interviews, there always are some ones that are a little tough, right? What were some of the ones where, I'm not going to say that your favorite one and your best one was Dino Babers, but I'm saying the best one was Dino Babers. What were some for you that probably, a little more training, a little more thought process, it ain't going to matter much, maybe, did the interviews hit for you during ACC Kickoff?
I don't know what NIL package Virginia has put together for Chico Bennett. I don't know, but throw some more on there. Throw some more on there, okay? Because he carried that thing in terms of personality. I mean, those other three for Virginia, it was a tough time. It was tough. It was tough. It was tough getting through it. And the Commonwealth is having a tough time right now in general in terms of football. But did you feel like it was any energy or it was sort of turning the page to last season and maybe a little of optimism? There was optimism, but even in that, and this is different coaches have different temperaments and all that. And we've talked about Halfley and how his temperament and the way that he speaks about his team, it'll get some folks. It
got me. It's gotten me multiple years.
But the production is not there. So with that being said, Tony Elliott could be the inverse to where his rhetoric is not that would make you think, oh man, I need to go play right now. But when you watch what he puts out as a product, he could, say, hey, year one was year one. We were trying to fit square pegs in the round holes, and we've got our guys in. We've got our system rolling in now, and so we'll be better and figure things out. There was nothing about him speaking that really was like, okay, I get it. I feel the energy. I feel like when he was talking about Monmouth transfer quarterback Tony Muskett, he said, hey, he has the it factor. You'll feel it. You can't really measure it, but when it's there. And through spring ball, you look at him, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's there. And it's like, I'm not convinced. I'm not.
Give me a little more, Tony. Give me a little more.
If we were on the car lot, I'm not buying the car. I'm walking away. I'm going to Leith Honda. I don't believe you. I don't. So, that's that. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest.
Help the children, Lord. All right, that's fair. That's fair. I think that, Virginia is certainly one that's going to be tough and difficult, as well as some other coaches. But let's talk about the top takeaways, right? Because there's clearly things that we've learned. Maybe we didn't learn. Maybe there's nothing at all. There are quarterbacks here that we know are going to have really good seasons. Drake May, Riley Leonard, Kay Klubnik, and all the things. Was there any quarterback that really stuck out to you that attended this year's kickoff that you said, all right, let's make sure that we circle these dates that they've got going on? They're due for a good season.
All of these quarterbacks are friends. That was weird to me. That was very like they were all so complimentary of each other, speaking so well of each other. And trust me, I know I'm bald.
You don't like quarterbacks, so let's start there.
Listen, I know I'm bald. I know I give Unc vibes. I know I give that. I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to be the old head that says like, oh, they have to hate each other to be good, because that's not true. That's not, you're quarterbacks. Y'all don't have to hit each other. You have to hit your spot. You have to find your receivers, get in windows, get in and out of audible out of bad plays when you see a box is heavier or lighter than it should be. All that good stuff. So I'm not saying, oh, they're not good because of it. I just thought it was weird. They were all so complimentary of one another.
Again, Kenton, you don't like quarterbacks.
That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. I
think it'd be crazier if you had said defensive linemen were like the complimentary of the quarterbacks or vice versa. Then I would have been like, all right, what's going on at kickoff?
I mean, I thought it was a little strange, but all the quarterbacks were very, very good in front of the camera. I struggle to come up with any quarterback who had a tough time in front of the camera.
You were saying Drake May did what now?
Oh, Drake May was talking about how he basically roomed with Jordan Travis at the Manning passing camp. Riley Leonard was talking about how in awe of Drake May he was at the passing camp, and how Jordan Travis was talking about how they're all great guys and good people. And I'm just like, and Brennan Armstrong, same thing, talking about, hey, these guys, it's a great group of guys. And I'm like,
my buddies. Yeah. So it's like if we had an ACC house, like a Heisman house, they would all get along.
It would be so nice.
Summer camp, if you will.
It would be much more Mathis family values than the real world. You know what I mean? Okay. It'd be much more peaceful, serene, like.
And the kids are old, so it'd be more like Summer House on Bravo than it would be Real World. Kids don't watch Real World.
Sure, I don't. All I know is that house would not see much anger, animosity, or violence up in there. It would be a very nice, peaceful house.
Serene. Couple jokes cracked here or there, a couple jabs, a couple rivalries every now and again.
I'm gonna tell you, nobody even took jabs at each other. I'm like,
that's good. Give
me the rivalry. Give me the spice.
Brendan's still new to the NC State triangle hate, so he's still buddy with Drake and of course with Riley. So that'll come, right? Of course, we'll see that.
Let me tell you something.
All right.
If I'm Riley Leonard, I ain't saying nothing good about Drake May. Okay, I ain't got nothing good to say about them.
You talk about Drake's mama, and that's the shame. That's a low down dirty. That's
what?
Yes.
I ain't said nothing about the boy mama.
I'm saying if you were a rival quarterback, you can definitely talk about somebody's mama.
Listen, I wouldn't talk about nobody's mama, but I might say they have a face only a mother could love. I might say, hey, listen, he had a good season or whatever last year, but you can book this right now. Our defense is going to put something on that boy to where he's going to have to go home and get some home cooking for mama in order to believe he's something special going forward. But that's just me. That's just that.
This is why we love the children, and this is why you sit here behind this mic, because that's the cilantro I was hoping for that you would bring down to Charlotte. I just heard you were giving real journalism, should be on ACC Network TV. Like that's what I heard that was coming out of you, and I'm a little disappointed. Not gonna lie.
As a member of the media, how can I do that? What was I supposed to do? Mac Brown, your defense was beyond terrible, and I don't want to hear anything about. Coach
I heard you ask that too.
For a decade, and you ain't won jack nothing. What are you gonna do? What am
I heard you were nice about it, but you definitely asked Mr. Mac Brown about his defense.
I asked everybody about things that were pertinent. I asked Coach Doran, what is it gonna take to get over the hump? You've been close. You've been knocking on the door. What is it going to take to finally kick the thing down? I just do so.
And what did Doran say? Because I would love to know that answer.
He said, well, if you would like to know the answer, go to our YouTube shorts. It's up there. It's up there.
So, come on, plug. Plug the people.
But very seriously, I asked all these coaches questions that I felt like were pertinent to their teams, and everybody's team has different things going on in terms of, teams that are geographically close to each other, or teams that are close to each other in terms of right now where they're predicted to be in a conference with Virginia and Virginia Tech. They're facing very different things, so they got very different questions. With Coach Pry and company, I asked, what's going on with J.C. Price and what's it like to keep a guy like him on the staff, because J.C. Price is a legend. An ACC legend, let alone a Virginia Tech legend. He's a man that,
should have had the head coaching job, but that's a whole conversation. You couldn't ask that. Okay. See, this is why I was at home. This might be why I'm at home. Okay.
That's nasty.
All right.
How you gonna tell somebody? How can you ask somebody with a straight face, hey, this guy should have your job? What do you think about that? What type of question?
And maybe JC sitting right there waiting for it. So we should only guess and wait and see. That is why
I'll tell you what, though.
Kenton was there and I wasn't.
Pry is another one of those. He had a big personality. He had a personality that,
he talks a mile a minute.
Yeah, and he's got that Southern twang to him, and he's a guy that I remember one of the players they asked, did he get his suit tailored from by the same tailor as the coach, and it was Nick Gallo, the tight end, and Coach Pry says, he copied me. I said, oh boy, that's a pretty.
You love a strong Southern accent.
But that every team has different things that they're looking at going into the season. For example, again, another two, NC State and Wake Forest, right? NC State has been knocking on the door. They've been consistently at 6-7 wins or so. So you ask about that as opposed to Wake Forest. Wake Forest in the past 7 years, right? They have had exactly 15 wins in every 2 years if you put them together. 7-8, and then 4 wins followed by 11. And so last year they had 8. And I asked Coach Clausen, are you prepared to try to get to 7 with this team? And what does it mean to have that level of consistency in your program? Or is that something that you're looking at and saying like, hey, we need to be better than 7.5 wins per year and all that good stuff? So again, two teams that are at very similar levels, but the questioning is different because of where they are and where they've been.
Sure. And overall, excited about ACC football, given the conversation, the flow, the energy. If you could give the top takeaway of who is still your team based on just conversations, who would be the top team for you?
I mean, I don't really change anything based on conversations because we haven't talked about Dabo Swinney at all. But Dabo Swinney had one of the quotes of the day on day 3 to me when I asked him specifically about, you've always used the motivation and the chip on your shoulder of Clemson doesn't belong and people don't believe in Clemson. But after 2 years straight of not making the playoffs, it does seem like people are rushing down the hill to say Clemson's through. They have no more national relevance. And he said, well, if only making it to the Final Four of 133 teams 6 times in 8 years instead of 8 straight means we're terrible, I guess by golly, we're bad. And I'm like, that's a great point. It's a really great point.
That's how you book them.
And normally Dabo just has this all shucks, we do our best type of thing. But to say,
sick of y'all.
To stand on it and say, listen, we've been to the final, we've been one of the Final Four teams 6 times. We've been a national championship multiple times. Put some respect on our name a little bit. It's one of those moments where I'm like, I like it, but that doesn't make me like Clemson more or less. I just think that they're better than everybody else in this conference right now.
And way to go of not answering my question, but I'm going to let you have it today.
You asked me based on conversations who I think is the best team. I still think it's Clemson.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure. It was a roundabout way to just say what I wanted to say, but that's fine. This is typical Kenton. You wouldn't be Kenton any other way.
Well, I guess we can't take the scenic route. I guess you're the type of person to follow the one direction.
Very direct. Very direct communicator.
But the gas is too expensive to be taking scenic route. Go straight to where I need to go.
A to B, fastest. You know how the GPS does. It gives you 3 options. Give me the one that's going to take me the fastest, not the scenic. And you definitely the one that's going to take me an extra hour because you like to look at the trees. And that's fine. Live your best life. All in all, we know that there is plenty for you to catch up on. So I know that you have a long weekend ahead of you, whether you're traveling away, whether you're staying at home. The YouTube is right there for you. They're shorts. They're quick, easy videos. We need those views. We want you to make sure you're locked in on your favorite team. Like I said, Kenton gave interviews for every single program. So if you want Narduzzi, if you want Dino Babers, if you want Brom, if you want every single coach and player that is favorite for you, they are right there. So make sure you check all of that out on our YouTube page, or you can follow here on our audio space and just listen to our full episode of giving our top takeaways and our best interviews of the week. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, let's wrap it up, Kenton.
And don't forget, they are called shorts for a reason. Not a single one of them is longer than 60 seconds. If you've got 60 seconds and the time it takes for you to, fill out a scratch out or whatever the case may be, you could have already listened to your favorite player or coaches give a quote on where their team is headed or about a specific thing on the team. So I'm just saying, just 60 seconds. That's all it takes.
For the time it takes you to type it in, for the time it takes you to leave a comment because you love it so much, you could have already watched 3 more. So do all that. Make sure you give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it. Hope you guys have a great and safe weekend. Until next time.